Says we're live.
Some awesome. Welcome back. And today we are talking about why you might be stuck in your business and what phase of growth is your business really in. So we're going to try and help you get unstuck in your business. Okay. We are Nate and Simone. We talk all things marketing, and we're here to help you with your business challenges, building out those strategic models, and figuring out how to really think about your business from a high level so that you can build out those strategies and grow, right? This is your CEO time, right? So before we get going, I'm just going to remind you to subscribe to this channel for more great stuff and like and comment and all that wonderful stuff. Help us with the algorithm so more people can learn and grow their businesses. Hey, Nate, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much. How about yourself?
I am good too.
All right.
So let's
Awesome.
get into it.
Yeah,
What stage of
we were
growth
we
is your
were
business
yeah.
really? Yeah.
Before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about how this can be kind of a sort of a nerdy topic to some degree. You have to bear with us here. We're going to try to make this as interesting as possible. I think once we get
Do
into
our
it, though,
best to make it
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Yeah, especially you know what makes it fun is because there are real world examples that maybe we can throw in here and we can talk about because just to give you a visualization and give you a real world example and kind of put you in that situation.
yeah,
If you're watching and you're thinking, oh, academic.
yeah,
I was never
yeah,
very good in
exactly.
school.
Yeah, yeah. If the thought of taking a quiz gives you hives, I guess, you know. Um, yeah, I was actually in a past life, I was a teacher, so I understand how it goes. But I'll do my best to help out here. It's funny and it makes sense once you think about it, but a business, because it's being run by people, has growth stages similar to a person. Can you imagine that? It makes sense, right? Um, if you think about it that like that, um, you start off and you're crawling, you're in the
Yeah.
baby stage, you're in the foundation. And as you go along, you start to learn to walk, right? You can expand on the analogy throughout, but um, that's kind of the idea, right? And it's because it's people, right? It's people that are holding or that are running the business, that are making the decisions. The business as itself is not, function without the people that are there, right? For the most part, at least as of now, today, AI hasn't fully taken over businesses. Who knows in the future that may happen? I don't know, but
I
we're
still
still,
believe we will still need humans, and
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
our roles as humans will change dramatically, I think.
yeah, yeah. We may be subservient to the AI. Who knows? They may be the one that are, in the CEO seat, making the decisions. Something to think
Well,
about.
I think
But
they're
anyway,
helpful, but we've seen some limitations.
yeah, exactly. I know everyone else out there has too. All right. So yeah. So think about, kind of put that in your mind, and it might help make things a little bit easier to grasp. But there are many different, models out there for small business growth, specifically small business growth. There's tons of models out there for enterprise and all that, right? But today we're talking specifically about small businesses. And
Kind
in
of people we work
particular,
with.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
never worked with
right.
a corporation,
Yeah,
unless I was,
yeah,
you know, in the 9 to 5 job. Then I worked for a big
yeah.
corporation, but
But even then, they're run by people, okay? And
that is true.
There's the whole the idea of account-based marketing where you're talking to a specific person in that company who runs a certain function, and you have to be able to reach them, right? Anyway, that's a whole other topic for discussion. But um, um, there are several different models out there for small business growth, but the one in particular that I am partial to is the Harvard Business Model. And that was based on an article that was written back in the early 80s. And in that article, the authors did some research, they did some interviews, they talked to business owners, and they realized that while it's true, there are many differences between small businesses, obviously, right? Many variables, there emerged certain patterns. And when it came to the growth of those businesses and how they get from crawling all the way up to sprinting, okay? And everything that happens in between there. And what they found was that you basically, every business reaches a certain crisis right before they are about to leave the one stage and go to the next.
Hmm.
And that crisis point, they have a decision to make. If they choose to continue on, they have to make certain decisions that allows that to happen. If they don't, then their options are they plateau or they die. There's three options at any given crisis point, right? In a small business growth pattern.
Find that
That's essentially
very
what it is.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like and different people call this have different ways of saying this, right? Who was it, Biggie, that said more money, more problems, right? And
Yeah.
Joyce Meyer says new level, new devil. So when you hit a certain level, you you have different problems. You have different
Yeah.
problems. It's really about growing, because
Yeah.
uh, you may be in your comfort zone now, but you work your way out of it, and
Yeah.
you grow to a new stage, and
Yeah.
then that stage becomes comfortable. After
Right.
you've learned, you've grown, then that stage becomes comfortable, and then
Yeah.
you keep moving, and now you're uncomfortable again because
Exactly.
now you're in a new stage,
Exactly.
and then that stage becomes is
Yep.
uncomfortable or becomes comfortable, and then so it keeps going. Yeah, this
Hmm.
is the human experience if we let it
Right.
be. There are some people who are just they're content to stay where they are. They don't want to learn anything new. They don't want to
Right.
grow because it's
And
hard.
that's
It's hard.
that's where you plateau. You don't go anywhere. You don't go up. You don't
Yeah.
go down. You just stay the same.
And
Status
that's
quo. Right.
basically death.
Well, it's a choice. If
It's
that
a
you're good with
choice.
that, you're good with
Yeah.
that. You're good with that. That's fine.
They
Some
say if
people
you're not
are
growing,
okay.
you're dying.
The case could be made. It might be a
That case
long,
can be made.
slow
But
decline.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because if the rest of the world around you is growing and changing and you're staying the same, I mean, that means you're not allowing changes. You're not
Yeah.
allowing things to affect you. So if the rest of the world is moving on and you're in this place, eventually, yes, you will die.
Exactly. Um, and that is actually the case. So according to the research, right? But
Mhm.
okay. So the question here is, well, two questions. One, why would I need to know what stage my business is in? And two, once I know it, what do I do with that information? Right? So that's what we're going to talk about here. Um, First off, if you, how many people out there, raise of hands, and there's not that many, I can't see your hand, but anyway, um, you're currently making decisions in your business when it comes to marketing, especially, and you really don't know why. There's not really a rhyme or reason. You've been told or you've heard this thing over here, right? That you should be posting to LinkedIn, you should be posting to Facebook, you should have a website, you should be running ads, etc. Like there's all kinds of people out there telling you, oh, no, no, do this, do that, that. There's all kinds of voices out there, and it's very easy to get extremely confused. And felt like you're being pulled in a thousand different directions and that everyone is just full of it because nothing that they're saying actually works for your business. Okay, well, um, knowing where you're at in your business is like a really great first step. If you know where you're currently at, according to the models, it can help you gain a lot of perspective on things. And Napoleon Hill, if you're familiar with this guy, he talks about how mistakes are just a part of the process. Once you start seeing things for the big picture, you don't get bogged down by the little stuff that happens along the way. Okay, so that's kind of what we're talking about here. Um, all right. So there's a danger there of just kind of applying these random tactics and not really having a rhyme or a reason. Okay. Um,
Not
you get
having
that
them fit your personality,
right
and
or the
and
business.
your core values, and you're
Yeah.
doing it because a guru said to do it. A guru
You're not
said, I
reaching.
made $300 million doing
Right.
this full thing.
Yeah.
This is all you have to do. And you make $300 million. And
And this is
it
my
might
big
have worked for
beef.
him, but not, it
Right.
won't work for you. You might have a different type of business. You
Yeah.
you don't have the same kind of team. Your business is different.
Exactly. It's different, but with a caveat there, right? In that there's definite patterns to the stages of growth that you're going through. And there are people that understand this and can help you to understand where you're at and help you see the light, right? Um, okay, so I want to talk about a little bit about the idea of a growth ceiling. Okay, when you feel like you're kind of it's like this feeling that you get, all the stuff that's happening, you know that you have something that's valuable and that's real and that it could be big, but you just can't seem to get to that next level. You can't figure out why. I'm sure that we've all been there before, and a lot of that is if we had an idea of where we're at and could see the big picture and could then that could help us to formulate a path, right? Out of the wilderness, as it were. And so that's what we're talking about here. And that growth ceiling is what I call it. Like you feel like your head's butting up against the ceiling. You just can't get past it, right? That's what I'm talking about. Um, but when you know that stage that you're in, it helps you to know what to say no to, and as much as it does what to say yes to, obviously, right? But that's only half the battle. So, um, let's talk a little bit about what those stages look like. First off, we talked a little bit about it, like crawling. Okay, I call that the foundation stage. You are you really need to focus in that case on lead generation and clarifying your offer. The basics, um, because the whole business depends entirely on you. And automating as much as possible right off the bat is going to help you to free up that headspace. You know, so that kind of thing is going to really help you advance quickly.
Yeah, I
Stabilization,
feel like this stage is this you're new. You're really trying to decide or trying to figure out if what you're offering is what the market wants
right?
and what they need. And so yeah, having that lead generation engine going and putting offers out there, and that helps you to clarify what you should be offering when you get a lot of leads in, and you're focusing on getting not just leads and and trying to convert them and nurture them or whatever, but you're actually getting feedback from them and about what it is you're offering. I think that can help you so much in the long run to really decide, okay, this is what I'm going to settle on. This is what I'm going to be offering because these are the people I want to work with, and what and this particular offer is a great fit at this price, that kind of thing. So um,
Yep.
that it
Exactly.
helps you to really clarify, what you want to build on. It's your foundation, like you said.
hmm You're getting your legs under you. You're figuring out, and this is where the quote I had earlier from Napoleon Hill comes in handy because you're going to make a lot of mistakes in this stage.
Yeah,
Especially when it comes to your offer and figuring out what your market really wants.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's okay. You can make mistakes. There's no problem with that. In fact, you're probably going
Mm.
to continue making mistakes, um, but you're going to make a lot of mistakes early on, I think.
Yeah,
Um, but that's okay. There's no problem with that. It's
yeah.
all part of the process. Understand? Okay,
I actually
that's
had a
okay.
conversation with somebody yesterday who has been seeing my content on social media, and came to me and said, "Hey, Simone, I have this idea for a course I would like to 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 release, and I would love it if you can help me, build me a funnel, that kind of stuff." And so I said, "Okay, well, I mean, it sounds great, but tell me about it, and who wants it." Oh, he didn't know. It's really right now, it's just an idea. So I said, well, okay, let's step back before you build this whole thing out and put it out there. Well, first of all, let's see if there is an appetite for it in the market. Like, you feel like it's a big problem, but do other people feel like this is a big problem that they want solved? And do they want it solved in the way that you're trying to solve this problem? And do they want this problem solved at the price point that you want to charge, right? So I had him go through some steps first before deciding to put together a whole funnel, and start trying to sell this thing, right? You've got to figure out, do people even want it?
Yeah, yeah. This is where also you're going to be nailing down your target market, your ideal customer profile, your unique selling proposition, your mission statement, your vision statement, all the basics that are going to inform the rest of your growth here. That's why it's called foundation. Um,
Absolutely.
Incidentally, all of those components are crucial to the visibility of your business, right? And the idea of being visible in the market. All of your marketing that you're going to put out there should revolve around these ideas. If you know precisely who you're going to be talking to, you know the type of stuff that they want to hear about, and you know where they are, right? You know what you're going to say, who you're going to say it to, and where you're going to say it. Those are incredibly important, especially in this early stage.
Absolutely.
Um, so number two, stage two, is the stabilization phase. You were successful in creating some revenue. You know that what you have to offer people want, and now it's about really shoring things up and you know starting to walk, right, as we say. Um, and you're going to look for stabilizing your cash flow. So that means that you're going to need a way to get leads in consistently. Oftentimes, that is going to involve maybe focusing on one particular channel, right? Really getting that channel nailed down. And as you go along in that channel and you get more and more leads, then of course, um, having automations built around that to help you scale is going to be crucial. And then you start to explore other channels, but really narrowing it down to the one audience, one channel, and just be focused on it for a while to see what you can to get out of that, right? And start to form your systems, your basic systems. If you, what is your system for uh, creating a marketing campaign, right? Do you have like every month I'm doing this, that, and this, and I'm going to be talking about this because this is part of my system, right? Um,
Yeah, I think this
having
is very crucial.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. So part of a whole day to day, as you're building, you know, um, you're you figured out your product, your market, and all of that. And so now it's like, okay, now let's build it. So it's determining which of your lead channels are you going to focus on, and you're going to stick with that one and grow it and scale it. There are people out there who say you should be everywhere, be on all the channels, and then there are other people who say just focus on one thing. Well, it's really interesting because I do like the whole being everywhere strategy, but like you said, it's good to focus on one. I feel like automation helps you to be everywhere even while you're focusing on one. So say your ideal client hangs out on Facebook. You can be posting on Facebook, and Facebook can be your main channel, but using an automation tool, you can duplicate posts across other channels. But Facebook is your main channel. It's where you answer the comments. It's where, you're in the DMs interacting with people, that kind of thing. You're in the groups, chit-chatting with people, that kind of thing, and answering questions and becoming that authority. But your automation tools can be bringing you leads from other channels and maybe feeding them into your main channel or taking them to your funnel or your website.
Yeah, and um, if you decide that your channel is giving talks or speaking, for example, like you're doing in-person events, having an automation built around that so people can fill out a form to get more information from you afterwards is crucial, right?
Mhm.
That's going to
Yeah,
save you a lot of headaches and help you stay really organized doing that, right?
yeah.
Um,
Or having somebody with you to go with you on your speaking events to take pictures and video and even carry the books that you're selling, right? So that you have something to maybe put into people's hands right then and there, so they remember you as you're
yeah,
you're collecting contact information, and they're getting something to take home as well. This is something that in the music industry that we used to talk about, like, are CDs dead? Well, one of the things that really kind of came out of that discussion was, if you're an artist and you're doing a lot of in-person stage work, you're out there performing, it's a great idea to have CDs on hand to sell to people right then and there, because they have a great experience with you. Give them something to take home right away, and that they can remember you. And I think it's the same with authors and speakers, right? Give
yeah,
them give them a way to give them a way to remember you. And even if you don't have a book, you're a speaker, right? Give them have a way to, especially electronically, get their contact information, because if they just get your information, you're not going to hear from most of them. But you get theirs and they're in your database, and you can start interacting with them right away. More of them will remember you.
yeah. And Daniel Priestley talks a lot about this, especially because he's big into being a key person of influence,
Mhm.
giving a talk, but then also having content to back it up and support your marketing. And he's really big into like assessments and quizzes too, right? And that
Yeah.
because it helps to segment your list. So maybe just having a quiz set up that you can direct people to, which incidentally, you can click on the link in the comments or in the details if you want to take our quiz. But the growth ceiling assessment, that's what it's called. Um, but yeah, so it gives you an opportunity to. This is a pretty low friction way for people to continue their interaction with you. If you've picked some curiosity, they want to know more, it's very easy for them to take an assessment and get a resource that you've created as a result of the exchange there, right? So this is what we're talking about with like having a system behind it. There needs to be, you think it through all the way from beginning to end. And the
Yeah,
key here is getting them to take the next step and making it as easy as possible. Low friction. Think of that. How can I make this easy
that's
for them? You know?
yeah. I think that's really the crux of it right now is that you have a way for them to come into your ecosystem, and then how do they flow through it?
Yeah.
So they may hear you speak at a summit or at a conference or something. Um, what's the next step after that? Then what comes after that? And then what comes after
Right.
that? And what comes after that? That's really the epitome of building out a system for them, for the lead or the potential client, or even a networking partner, somebody to collaborate with. For them, it feels very seamless. Like, oh, okay, you know, oh, first I did this, and next I did this, and next I did that, and they just come further and further down your
Yeah.
funnel,
Right.
down
And all
your pipeline.
yeah, and all along the way, you're providing value, to them
Yes.
and making sure that they understand what that value is and how it can help them, right? Whatever that may be. Um, and I know maybe this sounds odd if you're like an e-commerce store, for example, or like you're selling a certain product, but I assure you that your customers would value having knowledge of ways that they to use that particular product in their lives to enhance it, in some way. So think about it like that, perhaps. All right. So the next stage, both of these stages, by the way, the middle stages are about like becoming viable, like creating systems and things that are going to keep your business going. You're basically you are revving up and running, getting the engine running and going here and keeping it going, so the next stage is growth readiness. So you have made it through the foundation, you've made it through stabilizing the business through stabilization. Now you are at a stage where you are ready to grow. You have it nailed down, okay? You have all your pieces in place, and now you're ready to get to that next level. In this case, your profit is pretty consistent, and you may even have a small team going for you. Um, but oftentimes the business owner is still the bottleneck in this case. But they're wanting to make that shift from being the doer to being the builder and thinking strategically. At this stage, a business owner needs to be able to delegate. That's the key in this case. Like, that's the number one thing. You have to
I
be
heard
able
that.
to and be ready, willing, and able to delegate. And I know it's a
Right.
very scary thing. And this,
It
and
can be scary.
yeah, if we
Um,
talk about if we go back to the Harvard Business Model, in this case, at this stage, the crisis is a crisis of control, and the business owner is afraid of giving up control. Okay, and
I
and
had
so
a
those that want to hold on, guess what happens?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's those are the ones that become the bottleneck in their business and
yeah,
uh in the business. You want to grow, but you can't grow because your everything depends on you. And so letting go is crucial. Um,
yeah.
what's his name? Lamar Tyler of Traffic Sales and Profit. He says, this is a stage where you want to, um, you may think that, oh, I'm the only one that can do this, and I'm the only one that can do it well. You may end up having to have two people do what you alone
Hmm.
can do,
Yeah.
but it's still worth it to get those two people because it frees you up to do the things that only you can do.
Hmm.
um, to help to grow that business. And automation is also very crucial at this step because now you've built out your systems. You strategize them out, and Well, now automating them would be easier because you've already built them out. You already know what happens next. So now it's time to automate those and hire people in to do the work that the machines can't do, right? Um,
Yeah.
I had a conversation a while back with a business owner who had built up a structure in one city, and and he was going pretty well, and he was thinking about franchising, growing into other cities, but he still had some issues. His system in his first city wasn't dialed in yet. And there's a quote out there that says you can't scale chaos. Trying to scale the system as it is now would only cause more problems. And so
Just
I told him,
mass
I said,
conflagration.
yes, yes.
Setting
So
everything on fire. Yeah.
yeah, you don't want
Um,
to spread the fire from one city to another city and then to the
yeah.
next city. And, and
Yeah.
that's only a headache for you.
Yeah.
So I was letting him know, hey, let's get your current systems really dialed in, working smoothly, automating as much as possible, figuring out your hiring process so that you can hire great people like on a regular basis. And then take that model that you built out and, you know, smooth out, then take that and franchise into another city
Yeah.
because another city is going to be a headache on its own. So you don't
Hmm.
want to bring the headache, right?
I,
You want your thing to be dialed in. Another city is going to be a
oh
headache on
yeah.
its own because different cities have different
Yeah.
cultures and
Oh yeah.
different wants and needs and
I
climates
talked,
and all that, right?
yeah, I talked to a business owner. He was one of two partners in the business, and they were trying to open up a franchise in Texas, making burritos.
Mhm.
He came from Ohio. Little did he know that Texans are extremely particular about the burritos. Uh, so there's that, right? I don't know what market research they did to find this out, but I don't think it was good enough, unfortunately. And they didn't reach me in time. I'll just put it that way. And so on top of that, their first week, their walk-in cooler shut down, and so they lost
Ooh,
all their
in
inventory of all their food
Texas.
in their first week. Can you
Wow.
imagine? Talk about wow, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. What do you say to that? So they were successful in Ohio with the same franchise. They go to Texas, and it's a whole nother ball game. And they did not last. They could not do it.
Mm.
They had all kinds of good business Google Business Profile reviews once they got up and running and everything, but it wasn't enough to sustain.
It's interesting though that they because it is a completely different climate and different culture and everything. I'm
Yeah.
wondering why did they move from Ohio all the way to Texas without, maybe like go to neighboring states first and
Yeah.
kind of do more of an
Well,
incremental
I think maybe they thought
franchising model.
Texas is obviously into, Tex-Mex, right? So they thought it
True.
was a
Yeah.
no-brainer, I think. But yeah, they didn't quite think that all the way through, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I can imagine like, yeah, people in Ohio, um, the way they conceive of burritos would be
I think it's
different
very
from the way
different.
Texans conceive of burritos,
Or
you know,
tacos. My
or
bad, not burritos,
tacos, yeah,
tacos. Yeah,
tacos,
yeah, yeah,
right? Versus California versus the
yeah.
mid-Atlantic area,
Right.
yeah, we
Yeah,
do things differently. I
yeah.
remember watching a video on YouTube about hot dogs in different parts of the country. We all eat
Hot
hot
dogs.
dogs differently. And it's
Chicago
like
dog
the
is very
basics are the
different.
same. You've got a wiener and a bun,
Yeah,
but then
yeah,
depending on what area of the country
yeah,
you go to, they're going to put different things on
yeah.
that sausage and a bun, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, speaking of franchising, like knowing these things ahead of time is extremely helpful. ideally in a franchise situation, you have the systems and processes nailed down. Okay. Um, After that, you're talking about unforeseen circumstances, right? Like
Yeah,
a lack of proper market evaluation. Like,
yeah,
unfortunately, there's no amount of systems and processes in that case that are going to help you if the market is not there for the thing you have to sell. So
right.
something to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite mentors, he says, don't create a product from your point of view. Create the product from the market's point of view.
Yes, exactly.
Because you may have a passion for something, and you may think, wow, just this is the best thing since
All
sliced
right.
bread.
Everybody's
Everybody's
gonna
gonna
love
want
this.
this.
Yeah, yeah,
But you don't know that unless you ask a bunch of people.
yeah. And asking one or two is not a bunch of people.
It's not enough, right? It's not enough. Um, That's so funny. What's his name? Dave Ramsey used to say, "Yeah, you can decide. Oh, yeah, I want to start a business in left-handed puppetry, but how many people out there care
Hmm.
about left-handed puppetry?"
Yep.
Not-
Yep. Yeah. There was I earlier I gave a talk earlier today about ideal customer profile and how to find that, and did a little bit of research prior to look at companies that had to find their ideal customer profile and ended up shifting their entire approach to business. One of those was Slack. I didn't even realize that Slack was actually a video game company. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
They started
That's
off as a video
interesting.
game company. And when that failed for whatever reason, they realized that the internal communication system that they had built was something that they found extremely useful. And so they thought, well, I'll bet other people would find this very useful. And that turned into Slack. Like,
That's amazing.
incredible, right?
And it's
Yeah.
so funny because it's like the thing that you may have a real passion for may end up spawning something else. Like when the first thing is like it doesn't work and people don't want it, but uh, what do they call it? They call it the dust, the shavings, say,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the sawdust from your manufacturing creates this other thing.
Hmm.
And wait a minute, there's a whole market out there for the
They can be
dust, for the
they can be
shavings.
compressed into pellets that can be burned in your stove. Yeah, like
Yeah,
holy cow.
like wow,
Amazing.
who knew?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, one a company I worked for, a manufacturing company that would actually save all of the copper shavings from the valves that they were creating, and
Mm.
then throw those back in the furnace. Like they didn't waste anything. Um, yeah, but
I
anyway.
heard that's a thing too in some fast food restaurant. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but like
Oh no, they're recycling tomatoes that have fallen on the floor.
no, not that it fallen on the
That's good.
floor, but like
That's
maybe
good.
they like cut the ends off or something, and um then they tend to throw them away, but like people started wanting them and
Yeah.
ordering those. And so
Hmm.
now it's like a whole other product.
Wow, that's curious. Very
Yeah, I
interesting.
can't remember what it's not a restaurant that I've ever been to, but I do remember
Hmm.
hearing that story. Like people are coming into the restaurant and
Yeah.
ordering the waste, basically, the stuff that the restaurant would throw away. They're like, "Wait a minute, what are you doing with that? Can I have that?" People want to eat it.
Like like bread crusts? Is that like
Yeah. You know what? And
deep
it's very
fried bread
interesting
crusts?
because
Yeah.
apparently that's what croutons are.
No,
They're like
yeah,
stale bread.
yeah, yeah. And
It's
that's
like,
what
okay, I've got day old bread. Nobody wants it. Or let's cut it up,
yeah,
let's season it, let's
yeah.
put it in the oven. Boom,
That's
croutons.
where isn't that where French toast comes from? Because ideally you use stale bread with French toast. Like
Oh, I don't know. I've never heard of like I didn't know that
it's,
they
it's a
made
way to use up your
French
stale
toast with
bread.
stale bread.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, that's true. So
So
one
anyway,
person's waste is another person's treasure.
indeed. Um, the next stage is number four, scale execution. So in this case, um, you you've hit that growth stage. You want to go, and now you're in the process of making that happen. Okay, you're executing on that plan for growth. Here's where you start to feel the strain on the systems that you have created in the previous
Mm,
stages. Okay, this is where things really start to get shaken up. All of your processes are under pressure, and your team is getting bigger, and you're running into all kinds of problems there. I'm sure. You're needing to hire an HR expert to help you, right? I'm sure.
mhm. I
Your
think this is a
branding,
stage where
yeah.
what's his name? Lamar Tyler talks about become or just exercise your hiring muscle, right? And
Yeah,
he talks about having job announcements out there all the time, whether you're actually taking on new people or not. Um,
yeah.
because
Having a consistent flow.
just
Yeah.
having that consistent flow of people, just great talent coming into your company.
Yeah.
You know?
You
But
never know
yeah,
who's gonna bring the next great idea, I guess, and
yeah. And be a rock star in your business, you
yeah.
know?
But
They
you
might
have to
come in as
be
somebody to fulfill orders,
hmm
but then they have great ideas and you
yeah,
realize they don't just have the ability to fulfill orders. They can actually help me to package better and to think about the customer experience better, you know.
yeah.
So you
And
never know.
this is like where having that as the expectation and the fundamental process of the business, where people from the bottom are allowed to give their ideas, and that gets up to the top, like that
Yes,
that freedom of expression and ideas is, wow, very powerful.
absolutely.
And but
Absolutely.
the business owner, the CEO, the one driving the vehicle here, needs to have the mindset to allow that to happen, right?
Absolutely.
Um, yeah,
Um, they said that President Obama was good at that. Like when he walked into the room, he's as being a very smart man, he's actually the dumbest man in the room.
yeah,
But
yeah.
he's surrounded himself with very smart people, you
Mm,
know, and he
yeah.
understands that I don't know everything. So
Hmm.
I'm going to get smart people around me to help me,
Yep,
you know. And
exactly.
I think that's how the founder of the business needs to be. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know everything. Other people can do this faster and better.
Yeah,
And so
and
I'm gonna bring them into my environment to help me
yep,
out.
and crucial part of this stage, the skill execution, is customer experience. Who knows the customers better than the workers on the front lines,
That's
who
right.
are actually talking to your customers? And so you might be sitting up here in your ivory tower, separated from the actual customers, and not really knowing, making all of these strategic decisions without having a, a real good idea of what your customers actually want. Um, this is having a great customer experience is crucial at this stage, and your brand. Of course, the customer experience can definitely affect your brand image, right? Case
Right.
in point would be um, uh, Comcast. I think that's the first one that comes to my mind.
Oh
uh,
goodness.
but they basically decided that, hey, we're just going to change the logo, and we're gonna give it a different name, and hope that that gets rid of all the negative customer experience that we've had, and it did not. So
And it does not. You know what's interesting is that um, when they talk about competition being good, it would have
yeah.
been good for Comcast. But the so many of these companies, they're just they're so greedy for profits that they've come together and they've made a decision, like in certain areas, you don't come into my area and I won't come into yours. And so there's no competition.
Yeah.
And because there's no competition, there's no that outside pressure that, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, they're going to take my customers. It's not there. And so they they pretty much treat customers how they want to because the customers have no place else to go. In a lot of
Yeah.
areas in this
Right.
country, that's
Yeah.
the case when it comes to comes to
Yeah.
internet and cable and stuff like that. Like
Telemarketing
customers have no
deserts.
place else to go. And so the companies just treat them however they want.
Yeah.
Like their customer experience is terrible.
Mm.
And they
But
really have
it doesn't matter.
no incentive to change it.
Yeah. Yep. I can think of many different examples of that. It's just like, do you know how much more money you could be making if you just focused on customer experience and
Mm,
support? You know, like
yeah.
you don't even need to expand into new markets. You don't need a whole new product line. Just do that. Just focus on excellent customer support.
Yeah.
People will fall all over themselves to give you money because of all the bad companies out there with bad customer experience. Like when people
Yeah.
find a company with great customer experience, they stick with them
They stick with
and they
you, right?
tell everyone
They'll
else
be
about it.
loyal.
Like it's
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
indeed.
now with all the social media that we have access to, we have the ability to tell so many more people
Yeah,
than we did
yeah,
in years past,
yeah,
right? And
exactly.
you never know who your clients are, who's in your client list. I mean, Mr. Beast can be in your client list. And if he
Yeah,
decides to share with his audience, oh my goodness, this company was just
yeah,
horrible to me. Imagine
yeah.
awful, bad press
And
that
thus you see why it can like brand and customer experience, like they're
would. Mhm.
inseparable pretty much.
Absolutely.
Um, all right. So the next stage, legacy leverage. Here, the business owner has reached that growth stage, and they have decided that instead of continuing to grow, they want to extract themselves, and so they're looking to probably um, sell the business as part of their to kind of claim their legacy, right? From all the hard effort, the decades of blood, sweat, and tears that they put into the business, right?
Oh,
And the owner in this case is often not really in the day to day of the business so much anymore. So they've been pulling themselves out. They've been delegating in order to make this actually a reality, right? Because you can't really extract yourself from a business if you are the only thing holding it together. Think about that.
mm.
And other people who want to buy businesses realize this. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. If the business depends on you, that means if they're trying to buy it, they have to buy you too.
Right. And
And if you're trying
if
to
your
leave
intention is to retire and go live on a
or
beach with a,
retire,
wear a grass
then
skirt for the rest of your
yeah,
life,
that business is no longer valuable because you're about to
what?
leave and you're the only one
Yeah.
holding it together. Well, then
Right.
without you, business isn't gonna isn't gonna mean much.
Nope.
I hear like these days that's where a lot of baby boomers are in that
Boomer
scenario, right?
tsunami. Yep. Yep.
Right? They are, a lot of them are ready to retire.
Yep.
And so they're putting their businesses up for sale. The
Yep.
ones that are going to be the most valuable are the ones that have systems in place that work seamlessly without the owner.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a
Imagine being
system in
able,
place. It's
yeah.
predictable. You have the engine is running. It is bringing in leads. You
Hmm.
have an amazing sales process. You have an excellent customer service experience. People are
Building
telling other
client
people about you.
loyalty.
Oh my
Yes. People are
gosh,
staying, they're bringing other
that
people.
is a
That's
valuable
huge.
business.
Imagine having a business like that and you're ready to retire, you put it on the market, and there's a bidding frenzy, and you walk away with multiple millions of dollars.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
worth it to do
that's your
this.
dream. You know,
Yeah.
that's what you want. And I've talked to business brokers, and almost all of them say, unfortunately, the business owners don't. They wait too long before
Mhm.
they get to the point where they realize that they want to sell the business. And they simply don't have this in place. And so they're not going to get what they think the business is worth because of this. Oftentimes, the business owner has an inflated sense of what the business is worth because of all the effort that they put into it, because of all the struggle it's caused them. Okay. They figure that's going to be worth a lot, right?
Yeah.
But
They
if
want to
you
be
don't
paid for their
have
hard
this,
work, not paid
yeah,
for the
yeah,
system
it
that they
makes
put in
sense. It
place.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I wish that was true.
Mm.
It's just not. Um, you have to think about it again. I think you mentioned earlier, think about it from their perspective. In this
Absolutely.
case, the person that your customer is the one who's going to buy your business.
Yes.
What are
What do
they
they
going to do
want?
with a business that relies
Mhm.
entirely on you? How is that going
Right?
to, how are they going to be able to make that work? You know, think
Yeah.
about that. You know,
Hmm.
um, so that's what we're talking about here. In this case, you probably have some partnerships that are scaling, helping you to scale. You have innovations in the market and you know it's repeatable. You have systems in place.
Yeah.
The next stage is the optimization stage, and this is what is called, also known as business nirvana. So welcome to business nirvana. You are at the primo elite stage where businesses, this is where everyone thinks their business is, right? So, um, in this case, the business is mature, it's stable, and it just can't it can do no wrong. Their brand is extremely strong. They don't have to lift a finger to generate more leads because everybody knows about them. You can think
Mhm.
of just maybe like a few businesses out there that are like that, right? Big names, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
at the top of the chain. And they got there because they put these things in place to allow them to get there. It was not by accident, and it was not by luck. I assure you, there might have been some luck in there, but um,
Yeah. But
this
it's
was
mostly
thought out.
intentional. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's intentional. It's well thought out. Um, yeah, and I guess this is having a business that it has reached this stage is the prize for for putting on your CEO hat and doing what Michael Gerber says is working on the business rather than just
boom,
in the business, right?
yeah,
Um, taking that time to really strategize. What do I want my business to look like, and how do I get it there?
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
you've created an actual business, not just a job for yourself along the
not
way,
just a
right?
job for yourself. Exactly. You
Yeah,
created a business where you can take a month off, go on sabbatical, turn your phone off, turn your email off, and everything is just fine at home.
yeah.
You come back, it's all good.
In this stage, you are looking at the value of the business, right? Watching probably maybe the stock ticker. Depends on the situation. You're trying to protect the business as much as possible. There's going to be all kinds of people out after you in this case, right?
Yeah.
Because they see you, they know you're valuable, and they know you got a lot, right? That
Yeah.
they can exploit if they can. And then you might also be looking into expansion. We talked earlier about moving franchise into different cities. Maybe that's what you're looking
Mhm.
into, right? Maybe you're looking to offshore your for tax purposes, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, that's what we're talking about when it comes to the business stages and growing and so on and so forth. All right. Um, Things to do once you've identified your stage, you're going to look at systems. What systems can I put in place to help me make it easier for my customers to give me money, to do business with me? How can I make it easier on myself, right? um, how can I actually build a business and not just a job? Think about things like that. Um, you're building your leverage. You're using leverage to your advantage, right? Automation is a form of leverage. You can get so much more done if you have automated certain things in the business, and
Yeah.
that frees up a lot of headspace and a lot of effort and energy and so on and so forth.
Makes it
And it
faster and
re
easier, faster and
Yeah,
easier.
it's
Those are things that make your business that much more valuable.
yeah, you are cutting down on the hustle, right? You
Hmm.
start off in the foundation, it's all about hustle, but you don't want to hustle the entire time, right? You want to get to a place where you're able to kind of sit back and relax and think about things
Hustle in the baby
strategically.
stages. By this
Yeah,
time, yeah, when you
yeah,
a mature business, you don't have to hustle. It's
yeah,
easy, smooth sailing.
yeah. And the most important here, don't skip steps. You know, don't. Oftentimes, what ends up happening is that business owners think that they are in a higher stage than they really are. Very often, more often than not,
Mhm.
that tends to be the case. I mean,
You know, it's
that might be a bitter
interesting.
pill to swallow, but it's the truth.
Yeah. So this attitude that I see a lot of smaller solopreneurs making. Oh, I need to have seven streams of income. And so they
Yeah,
they become a notary. They go to school to be a nurse. They do hair on the weekends. This is not how to build seven streams of income. You
yeah,
build one, build up a system that can run without you, that is generating leads, clients, income, profit, and automate it, set it on autopilot, and then go start the next thing. And it would be awesome if you started something that was complementary to the first thing,
yeah.
right? So you're not doing something completely different, you
Yeah,
know?
and you're
Um,
probably, adding to the experience that you are giving your customers. You are providing more value to the customer base you already have. It's way
Absolutely.
easier. It's way easier
Yeah.
to do something like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so if any of this sounds good to you and you want to find out where you're at, then we have an assessment that you can take, and it will tell you where you're at based on your answers, as long as, be honest, you know. And it will give you a free resource that includes information on the stage that you're in, um, things to do in order to get to the next stage, as well as various resources, books, links to tools, and even like a scenario to kind of help you think it through and put it in perspective. So, if that sounds good to you, then click the link in the description and check it out. And yeah, there's also feel free to book a call with us if you want to hash something out. Got any questions? Happy to have a chat. Doesn't hurt to talk, right?
No, doesn't hurt to talk. And it's no obligation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. And we will see you next time. Put in the chat, take the quiz, and then put in the chat. What was your result? And what are you going
Hmm.
to do next based on that result?
Yeah.
Action is where it's at. Because if you don't take action, then you're always going to be where you are now.